But Jabari Rice has it. Baylor won't foul. The Longhorns will take the first of the series from the Bears this year. Texas is 7-2 at the halfway point in conference play, and they're tied for first place in the Big 12 Conference. They beat the Baylor Bears tonight, 76-71. Hot nights, cold morning, icy roads. Hope you're doing all right. Good morning, and welcome to Light the Tower on the Horn. Is that a flex speed still rolling there? The video, dude, get a little flex speed working there. Good morning, and welcome to Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, and AM 1260. We're live, local, and streaming on the Horn app and at hornetfm.com, and we are safe and sound, if not just this side of a little shaking on our drive coming in. My name is Craig Way. Glad to have you with us this morning. Hope you're being careful if you do have to go out. You can lend my voice to those. Multitudes are saying if you don't have to be out, don't be out. Say that. My wife is making the run over to H-E-B because, you know, when you got a H-E-B, you got a H-E-B. So she's over there. But hope you're doing all right. Happy as always to be joined by my co-host, the pride of Northwest Williamson County, where it's pretty icy this morning. A proud graduate of Florence High School, where it's closed today. And a current resident of Hays County, where it's icy and schools are closed as well. But you know him best for his outstanding work at Horns 24/7. That's Jeff Howe.
I'm not going to BS the listening audience. The only flyover I was forced to take was the 360 flyover from Ben White, and yeah, my sphincter was puckered something fierce on that flyover this morning.
Well, it's a sphincter puckering kind of morning, meteorologically speaking. Nevertheless, our producer, the esteemed Cameron Parker, he navigated it all, I would say, rather easy. Now, he did send me a text to say that it was sheer ice on 360 going over Bee Caves, and there is a wreck on the northbound side of that, but is able to kind of slip and slide my way. So, I mean, it was kind of slick for you coming in?
Not too bad until I got to that bridge just over Bee Caves. That was the first bit of ice that I encountered. But yeah, there was a little accident going northbound. I was I better slow down here.
Yeah. Nice job, Cameron did there on the montage of the Longhorns win over the Baylor Bears. We'll get to that in a moment. Just again to bring everybody up to speed. Yeah, the roads are kind of icy. Of course, I was coming down from Georgetown, and southbound 35 was really not bad. At least there weren't wrecks, but people were going slow, and the roads are just a little bit slick. I almost had a thing, Jeff, coming out of my neighborhood in Berry Creek. There's a little bridge. It goes over Berry Creek itself, over the creek. And I was going very slow because it was just through the residential part. It was like between 15, 20 miles an hour, but I fishtailed. Left, right, and all that. Just calmly worked the wheel in the opposite direction and got it back and pulled it back together. But I was like, okay, warning served, be ready. And then 35 itself wasn't, like I said, wasn't bad southbound. On northbound, there were wrecks all over the place. There was one wreck where I saw a car, and you don't see this too often. You'll see overturned cars. You'll see smashed up cars and bashed up. I saw one car laying completely on its side, just laying on its side. There on northbound 35, about near the outlet center there in Round Rock. So, and then I take 35 down to Breaker Lane and cut across Breaker as I make my way over toward 360, and you get to the bridge for Breaker crossing Mopac. And we know there's been all kinds of issues. Our buddy Mike Harge had said that Mopac was closed in a lot of areas. There were some cars going down it when I saw it, but there was a wreck on the bridge.
Yeah.
And so people were just kind of snaking around the wreck, and I did as well to get over and made an illegal left turn again on the service road to get down to 360, because at that point, there are no rules. I mean, almost. You just got to be careful. There was nobody around, so I was able to flip it and go, because you didn't want to stop and then, because trying to accelerate, your wheels start to spin. So it was just kind of roll through it and go on down and then be careful.
It's like Nam on the road today. There are no rules.
Yeah. I mean, it's It's a mess. It's a mess. So do be careful if you're out there, obviously.
It's not, I've realized, Craig, in these weather situations, if you yourself are careful, it's not you have to worry about. It is the inconsiderate sir or madam that passes you on the interstate doing about 85.
Had a couple of those. Had a pickup, an oversized pickup doing at least 75. Zooming past me. And I was in the left lane at the time. I was only doing about 55, which normally would drive me nuts if somebody was doing it. But I was moving faster than everybody else at doing 50 to 55. And then I saw that truck coming up behind me, and I put on my signal. I'm going to move over and let him by, but he was having of it. He just blew past me, changed lanes, and blew right past me.
Is your blood pressure all right driving 55 the whole way? 'Cause I've been in the car with you before.
On these kind of days, yes. I'm okay because it kind of understand what you're up against there. So be careful.
You talk about the pucker factor. I drove down a 2-lane North Carolina highway with Craig and Roger Wallace, where Craig's working the phone, taking us to eat seafood, and it was
it's US 70. It's a US highway.
It was 2 lanes, Craig. Well, you knew where you were going. I didn't. That was the rough part about it.
That's the deal. I knew where I was going on that when
I trust you 100%.
Made that, had great. You know, Linda does that too. She'll say, "I trust you," and yet, you know, they'll be going on some things, and I'll look over, and she's got her eyes closed. You know, puts her in. I thought you said I do, but I still am nervous. Okay, all right, I get it. So anyway, we know the schools around the area are closed, and so stay warm, stay dry. Hopefully everything's all right. I said hot time last night at Moody Center if you were there for the Texas Baylor game, and it was quite the matchup. And I said to John Morris, the play-by-play voice for Baylor, after it, I said, how about 2 more of these? Now, I'm sure he thought it would 2 more Texas victories. No, and I said 2 more slam-bang games between these 2. Why not have a couple more? Do 1 in Waco and then 1 in Kansas City at the Big 12 tournament. That would be really cool if that were to happen. 2 really entertaining, high-energy, high-octane, high-intensity games like the one we had last night.
That game, I've said this about a couple of games this year, but that really was a game last night. It was like those teams showed up for a fight in a basketball game, just happened to break out. I mean, that was about as physical a 40-minute game in college basketball as you'll see anywhere in the country. And I asked Timmy Allen about it after the game, and Timmy said, he's like, I'm telling you, he's like, that's as hard as a game as I've played in since I've been here.
Yeah.
He said, Ben, Baylor's the kind of team, they make you work for 40 minutes. They feel like they're never out of the fight. And there was one, I mean, I try to keep my composure when I'm sitting on press row, but there was a point in the second half, Flo Thamba set a screen that Marcus Carr tried to go through, and it was like Marcus slammed into a brick wall, and I just let out an audible like, oh, God. Like like you felt it. And it was just that kind of night where elbows are getting thrown and the screens are a little harder. You know, you're fighting for rebounds. It's a little more ferocity when you're going up on the glass. But that was, you know, RT challenged this team after the Tennessee game in terms of their toughness, and it's not the first time it's happened. You know, he did it after the K-State game too, that they lost earlier this year. Challenge you, you know, your toughness. How hard are you willing to guard? And for the most part, they were much better than they were in Tennessee. There were a couple of things, and I'll give Rodney Terry credit for this, Craig, and the staff credit for this. Their ability to go in at halftime and get things fixed and turn it around the second half has been remarkable this year.
I sort of say not just last night, but other games as well. Yeah,
like he talked about, you know, they wanted to limit Baylor to 6 made threes. They had 6 at halftime, but only made 2 in the second half. What was Baylor shooting the 3? Baylor was 2 for 11 shooting the 3 in the second half. RT talked about turnovers. They had 9 turnovers total. They had 7 at halftime, so they only turned the ball over twice in the second half.
Yeah.
So the things they really focused on, doing a quick video review at halftime, they were really good in both those categories that he wanted to get fixed at the break. So just really good coaching job, but I think the toughness Texas showed, we've seen them play with toughness, but to do it against an opponent like that had won 12 of the previous 13 in this series, I think that's the reason why you saw so much emotion at the final horn from everybody, Rodney Terry included, last night.
Baylor hit 4 of its first 5 threes, and then hit 4 of its next 21 to finish it out. So, because weren't they 8 for 26? beyond the arc.
Yeah, and that's probably the thing Scott Drew was most disappointed with. He said, you figure you shoot 26 threes, you're going to make more than 8. He said, typically we will, but it just felt like Texas.
Looked like they would at the start.
Said he just felt like Texas, as the game went on, just did a really good job of defending the three-point line.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things you'll hear in my conversation with Rodney Terry. We'll have that coming up. You'll hear a little bit with Sir Jabari Rice. Jabari had a big game, obviously hit those 4 threes you heard in the highlight montage that Cam put together, that those 4 threes in the second. And when he got to the fourth one, that's why I said, why not? Indeed, why not? You keep getting into the hot hand off of that. And so for the folks who say, yeah, Marcus Carr only scored 5 points, first of all, the last shot he made was gigantic, obviously, carrying it to a 3-point game from 72-71 to 74-71. That was big. But this team does a good job of, if one guy isn't on, find the guy who is. Find the guy who's making the shots and then feed him. Let him do it and let him work. Yeah. It is an egoless basketball team. It's like who's got it tonight? Let's get him the ball. Hopefully you have multiple guys doing it. But if there's one guy in specific, get him the ball. That's
the most impressive thing. I asked RT about this in the post game. The growth Marcus Carr has shown this year. Mm-hmm. Marcus Carr last year, and maybe even him at earlier parts this season, in that game, he's probably playing iso ball and forcing shots, but he did a great job of, number one, Tyrese Hunter had the ball in his hands, bringing it up the floor most of the second half. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Tyrese, no cramps last night.
Got through it.
Yeah, so that was really good to see. Refreshing to see him play 32 minutes of cramp-free basketball.
There you go.
But Marcus, and I think this has just kind of been his role in the offense. It's like, and I talked about this yesterday, it seems like the more he's played without the ball in his hands, the more he's understood about the way the offense needs to flow, moving without the ball and the importance of it. He never let the ball get stuck. And like you said, Craig, just kind of let everybody else, hey, Jabari Rice has a hot hand, or it's Timmy Allen for stretches. Tyrese had 13 points. But RT said when it got to about that last 4-minute game, he said he pulled Marcus aside and said, hey, it's winning time. It's your time now. We need you to step up. And in that last minute, you got that beautiful step back jumper that everybody on this team has their move, right? Jabari Rice, Jabari's got the pump fake. Timmy Allen, that spin baseline and that fall away jumper for the baseline is pretty. And then Marcus, just that step back shot he's able to make and hit that big one last night. I said this about Timmy last night, Craig. I've said this about him all year. He scored 18 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, and had a block shot. Like, Cameron, I don't know if you can speak to this. I don't know if you follow basketball analytics at all. Like, the analytics must hate Timmy Allen. Like a guy that doesn't shoot threes. It's all like mid-range jumpers. The analytics must hate Timmy Allen. Mm-hmm. But, man, if he's on your team, it's damn effective to go 7 for 10 from the field, not attempt a 3-point shot, 4 for 5 from the foul line. Like I said, gives you 18 points. The analytics sites must hate him, but if you're a Texas fan, you love what Timmy Allen did last night, and what he does most nights.
Yeah, works so hard on it as well.
You a big analytics guy, Cameron, or no?
Yeah, I am. I agree with your point there. Probably Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen aren't two of the most great guys for analytics, but when the game comes down to the line, they come up big every single game. Marcus Carr didn't have a huge impact in that second half offensively, and then when Texas needed a bucket, went to him. Same thing with Timmy Allen, right? They called an ISO for him, went to the hoop, drew a foul.
Yeah. I'm with Jeff on this. People know me being a numbers guy, and I like him as well. And Jeff and Rod come up with and Matt Butler come up with some just spellbinding numbers, mind-boggling numbers on the Blitz podcast. And then on this show, and then on Ball Don't Lie, Rod and Harge do the same thing. They've got all these great numbers, and I agree with all of them, and I love all of them. The one thing that the analytics can't, there's no metric for it, you can't, that the analytics can't measure, and the one thing that the analytics, whether it's Pro Football Focus or whatever it is, the analytics cannot measure clutch. And That's a clutch gene that both of those guys have, and that's you can look at it and say how many shots did so and so hit in the last 2 minutes of a ball game or whatever, but even that doesn't totally measure because you don't know when the shot clock's running down or did you get double teamed. I mean, there's a great one of the highlights was Tyrese Hunter hitting a three, but it wasn't just Tyrese hitting the three. Timmy Allen's trapped in the corner. And it looks like I said he's in jail. And he finds a way to whip the pass back out front to Hunter as the shot clock's winding down with a trap, a double team on him in the corner, gets it to Hunter, who nails the three. That's something that analytics cannot measure. Only the shot made, and that's what it is. So anyway, that's what I think is really
I'll tell
cool.
you one thing analytics can measure, though.
Yeah.
And I think this goes back to RT challenging this team's toughness
Yeah.
after the Tennessee game. They were on the attack early. I mean, getting to the basket, guys were getting downhill. Not just the guards. I mean, we saw the forwards take it to the basket. We saw Dylan Dessou. Dylan Dessou's done a really good job of kind of showing attack and then pulling up. That foul line jumper has become really good.
Absolutely.
Really good for Dylan. But these numbers, Craig, if you look at the advanced box score, which I'm glad Stat Broadcast keeps track of this now, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Fouls drawn. It looks at the fouls drawn is estimates the number of fouls drawn by that particular player. Timmy Allen 6.8, Dylan Dessou 4.2, Dylan Mitchell 4.2, Jabari Rice 8.4, Christian Bishop 4.1. That's guys being aggressive, being assertive, and attacking the basket. And in a game last night where man, if I go to the rack, there's a really good chance I'm going to draw some contact and some pretty hard contact.
And then you have to finish on the foul line, which, by the way, they had a spell in the second half, and I mentioned this on the broadcast. They were leaving points at the free throw line. There were some 1 out of 2s there, and but down the stretch, they hit them. And Cam says he's got this highlight. This is the moment I was talking about where Timmy Allen, it's almost like eyes in the back of his head when he draws the trap in the corner and finds Tyrese Hunter. Carr with it. 7:05 to go. 13 on the shot clock. A trapped Timmy Allen. Got to do something with it. Got rid of it out to Hunter. Top of the arc for three. Good! Tyrese knocked it out. It looked like Allen was in jail. Got rid of it. The three-pointer puts Texas up 8, 62-54. And this came at a point in the game where Baylor kept pushing, making a run. They get it down to 3, get it to 5, get it to 4, get it to 3, and then eventually to 2, and then down to 1. But in that 3 to 5 point range, it kept cutting, and then somebody, whether it was Rice with his 4 threes in the second half, or Timmy Allen hitting a baseline jumper, or Hunter hitting the 3, they'd push it back to 5, push it back to 7, push it back to 8, and so that was the answer that they had to have, and they had to come up with some answers on that.
And from the Baylor standpoint, I asked Scott Drew about it, because he talked about just he felt like they just dug themselves in too big of a hole. I felt like that 8-0 run that Texas had.
Yep.
I think was that the first 4 minute within that first 4 minutes of the second half.
After Baylor tied it with the first bucket of the second half, it tied the score at 40, and then the Longhorns answered with the run.
Yeah, actually, Thamba makes one of 2 foul shots.
Yeah,
that ties it at 38.
Right,
and then Texas goes on that 8-0 run, and I asked Scott Drew because at that point it felt like Baylor was up against it the rest of the second half, and he said no. He said that wasn't the key for him. He said as poorly as they played, because they had a stretch in the first half. Craig, I think they missed 6 shots in a row.
Yeah,
at one point they started out shooting 3 for 11 from the field. He just felt like their inability to make shots early on, he felt like that's what put them in a hole. And he gave Texas credit. He said, especially on their 2-point field goals, he said it was either Texas did a really good job contesting shots, or when they were able to pass it out of a trap to one of their bigs or their guards cutting to the basket, they just missed some easy shots. But Baylor, Scott and his players, LJ Cryer was who we got post game. They gave Texas credit for the way they defended, especially on their 2-point field goals.
Eddie Orrin made the point, to your point about missing the 2-point field goals, that Texas did just enough to speed them up just a little bit to where the touch might have been off to do that.
Yeah,
where they sped them up and made them uncomfortable. And I think this point, it's a very salient one and a kind of a sobering one made by Fran Fraschilla. And, of course, Fran is working the telecast for ESPN, and he's sitting closer to me than I'm sitting to you right now. I mean, we are, as the Canadians would say, are side by each I mean, we are right.
I was going to say, look like y'all were pretty cozy last
It's
night
almost
over
rubbing
there.
shoulders against one another. And I've known Fran's wife, Meg, longer than I've known Fran. I knew her in the 80s when she was working in the Southwest Conference Media Relations office. And Meg said, Fran told me this last night, that Meg, when he was getting ready to leave their home, said, say hi to Craig for me. She said, did you do see him, right? He goes, see him? I can reach out and said, scratch his back or something like that. And Boog Shambi, John Shambi's working, said, well, don't do that. He was telling that. But what Fran said to me after the game, and again, I think this is straight on. Texas played so well to take Baylor out of a comfort zone, to push the issue on Baylor, to speed them up a little bit, did all of these things. At times, he said, made Baylor just play badly and play poor. And Baylor still had a real shot to win the game. Yeah. He said that should tell you a couple of things. One, how really good Baylor is. Two, how good Texas is. And three, how tough this league is.
Yeah.
In no particular order, because it's true. And I had on my iPad, because we've talked about this before, I'll have other games on iPad or laptop or whatever. There's not enough real room at the desk where we sit to pull up two screens, so I just have the one iPad. And there was only one other Big 12 game last night. Well, I had my iPad tuned to that. So Iowa State gets up 23 early second half on Texas Tech. I'm not even paying attention to it. I'm calling this dynamite game. All of a sudden, I look down during a timeout in the Texas game, and all of a sudden the lead is like down to 11. And I said, look at Texas Tech. Look at that. They cut it to 11.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like if you've ever seen The Princess Bride, it was almost like Christopher Guest, the guy with the 6 fingers, whatever, when he goes, my heavens, are you still trying to win? at one point to Inigo Montoya when he says, you killed my father. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And he keeps saying it over and over. He keeps saying, are you still trying to win? So it was at 11. To go back, and next thing I look, and it's down to 6. Then I look, and it's down to 3. And then, of course, the Texas game, as long as it went, still ended before regulation ended in the Tech-Iowa State game, and then it winds up going overtime, and Tech winds up winning 80-77. Kevin O'Banner had a big game last night for Tech and helping lead them back. Mm-hmm. So Iowa State falls, for the moment, out of the first-place tie. Tonight, in Lawrence at Allen Fieldhouse, you have the rematch, Kansas and K-State. They just played a couple of weeks ago in the Octagon of Doom, and K-State won that game. If Kansas wins tonight, the Big 12 Conference race is exactly at the numerical halfway point, and Texas is sitting atop by itself, alone in first place at 7-2 in the league standings.
Yep. Why don't we hit the break now? We'll get to some audio in the notebook, and I've got a couple other things to digest or help the listening audience digest from this one.
Yep, we're doing that. We have our Longhorn Notebook coming up. We do have Inconceivable coming up as well, and we'll hear from Rodney Terry. We'll hear from Sir'Jabari Rice. More on this game around the corner. Hey, the word is the Big 12 football schedule will be released this afternoon. So we'll get to all that and more as we continue with an icy, slick roads, closed school, watch yourself edition of Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. This is a good day to stay indoors, especially if you're having to listen to Isaiah sing. But no, I mean it's a good day to be inside because of the weather and to be watching games like the Kansas K-State game tonight. But if you're not happy or not completely satisfied, maybe you've just been getting along with the home entertainment system that you have at your home, but you've been kind of putting it off and you've been wanting to do something about it for a time, and now the holidays have passed, doesn't mean it's not a good time to upgrade your home entertainment system. That's if you're linking up with our good friend Tom McKay in Audiovisual Consultations, because what they'll do is help you visualize what you have, what you want, and be able to work within your budget. And if you're talking about one of those big home theater setups, they can do that with screens of 90 inches up to 150 inches. They can do that. If you're interested in, say, having the 75-inch HD TV with a surround sound, they can make all of that happen. They have the equipment. They have the expertise. You don't have to worry about going out and shopping in the big box stores, all of that stuff, and they're not raising prices. So be sure to check Tom and his staff out on the web at avconsultations.com. Better yet, give them a call, 512-255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Let Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams.
Boy, that Isaiah promo, there's no in between. Either you love it or you're not a fan. I'm a fan. We're split here on Light the Tower, I think. I don't know where Craig really stands on it. Jeff Howe, Cameron Parker, Craig Way, Light the Tower on a very cold, icy Tuesday. Everybody be careful out there. If you don't have to be out, let me repeat that like everybody else is. If you don't have to be out, don't. Just stay at home. It's a good day to sit at home and not do anything, just hang out with the family. But if you have to be out and about, please, by all means, be careful. It is the bottom of the 10 o'clock hour, which means it's time for today's first edition of the Longhorn Notebook. It is a Longhorn Notebook brought to you by Aaron Bowersock, your home loan expert. Let Aaron do for you what she did for Craig and Linda when they made the move to Georgetown. The home loan process was super easy for them. BowersockTeam.com is where you need to go to let Aaron Bowersock handle all your home loan needs. That is Aaron Bowersock. She's your home loan expert. BowersockTeam.com. All right, still talking about that 76-71 win for Texas last night over Baylor. Here right now, we told you we had this audio. We'll go ahead and run that right now. It is Craig and Eddie's post-game conversation with Texas interim head coach Rodney Terry.
What a ball game. We were saying you expect that from the number 10 and 11 teams in the country, just punch and counter punch. And I know you have to be proud of how your guys answered every time Baylor made a real run and a real push at you.
Really proud of the guys tonight, Craig. We came back off a one-day prep, and I really challenged the guys. As we finish up January here, January is the grind. And our guys have really embraced the grind all month, but we needed to finish this off, and we needed to continue to try to improve defensively. As you go into February, we start talking about separation month and teams start separating themselves. The teams that really get good separation are the teams that improve in the areas where they have to continue to get better and want to be elite. And for us, I challenged our guys to start that yesterday. And they came in and had a great prep day yesterday talking about nothing but defense. We're going to win this game with our defense. We'll score enough points and figure out how we need to score, but we're going to win this game with defense against a really good offensive team coming in here.
Well, to your point, Baylor had hit 5 of its first 6 3-point shots, and they wound up only hitting 3 of their last 20 3-pointers. What changed? What was the difference in how you guarded them so well on the perimeter?
Well, we watched the threes that we gave up in the first half on video again, and we gave too much separation. About 2 or 3 of those threes were on us a little bit, not taking anything away from those guys because they're really good shooters if they're open. But we just needed to clean up some things and not give these guys much separation. I thought there were a lot of really good contested threes. And I thought our guys, when their guards do a great job of trying to size you up and shoot the ball right in your face, I thought our guys did a really good job of not backing up. And we emphasized that yesterday, climb into those guys and make them take tough threes without fouling. And I thought we did a really good job of that. They made 2 threes in the second half, and we turned the ball over twice in the second half. So we cut our turnovers back. We had 7 turnovers at the half, and we played Texas basketball.
How about your Swiss Army knife, Jabari Rice? Is it a field thing? I mean, when he's going like that and knocks down those 4 threes, and we know he's going to be tough on the foul line, it's pretty impressive to watch him deliver whatever it is you're needing him to deliver.
Well, we came into this year, with the intent that he needed to be a shooter for us this year. Along came the shot fake, and we love the shot fake, but we also love his shooting ability and shot making ability as well. But he's been working really hard on his shooting, and he's had some really, really good practices over the last week and a half, and I think it's carried over into the games.
Rodney, something I think is so important is how you started the second half. The first timeout, they were 1 for 7. I thought you set the pace, set the tempo of this game, forcing them 1 for 7 from field the first 5 minutes, second half.
Everything was all defense for this game. I mean, we knew coming into this game we're going to have to win this game with our defense sitting down, and it's really hard to hold a really good offensive team. Baylor's a really good offensive team, a well-coached team. And, our goal was to try to hold these guys to 65 or less. I mean, they got 71, but we really guarded hard tonight. We couldn't give up 9 threes. They make 9 threes, they win the game. They had 8 tonight. We tried to see if we could have at least, I think it was 6 or 7 or less. It's what we tried to shoot for.
Roddy, what about a chance for the guys to catch their breath a little bit since you don't play again until Saturday, but then you got a tough 2-game road swing? What's it going to be like for the team and how you approach the next few days?
Well, they earned a day off tomorrow. I know we don't have school, and, they can have a chance to kind of hit the reset button and recharge a little bit. We had a long trip over to Knoxville, came back here yesterday and got back on the floor again with a quick turnaround for tonight's game. They need to recharge a little bit right now. We'll do that tomorrow with recovery and not do anything basketball-wise. And then we'll come back the next couple of days and really get going again and try to get ready for another really tough Big 12 game on the road.
Are you going to recharge too?
I'm going to try to recharge too a little bit. Coaches get tired too.
I bet they do. So there it is, our post-game conversation with Rodney Terry.
Yeah, I was on the elevator leaving the arena last night with RT. His wife Seth Davis and his family were also on that ride, and you could tell RT just he needed to breathe a little bit. He was going to sleep a little bit more easy.
Yeah,
last night.
Yeah, it was obviously a big win for everybody, Rodney Terry included. So it was and he did. I thought he did a really good job in talking about how his guys, like you said, Jeff, made the adjustments to guard the perimeter better. Mm-hmm. And I like how he said, we went in halftime and looked at the threes they made.
I know this staff has talked about what a great video crew
they're amazing. Watching them on the plane work, it's amazing.
It's that. Hats off to your video team to be able to. And look, Cameron, you might have a better frame of reference on this stuff than I do, but to be able to film a game and get cut-ups done that fast of exactly what the head coach wants to see, that's remarkable stuff. That's big-time stuff.
Yeah. They and Rodney's mentioned this on Longhorn Weekly, and I had him talk about it a little bit last Thursday. His GAs, the grad assistants and video guys, Brock Baronato, the guy we know as Fireball for them, and the rest of the GAs and the assistants, and they're all diving into it, and they've got the laptops pulled up, and I know Texas isn't the only team that does this in the country. They're really good teams. They have really good video staffs and GAs and all that, so they're not alone on an island or that sort of thing. But you see it with your own eyes. You can't help but be impressed. And as Rodney mentioned, those guys have, by the time the plane lands from a flight of some length, whether it be Ames or Morgantown, by the time the plane lands, they have the game that they've just done, completely cut up and broken down into the segments of offense and defense and special situations and out of bounds and all those things. And they have the same thing done for the opponent coming off their game. And they have it all ready to go by the time they walk off the plane. So
It's crazy.
yeah. So it's impressive what they do. And to hear him do that. And I'm here to say that I'm glad that Jeff brought the segment back in there.
It's 'cause we need to get you a life alert.
You know, you drive down here, and and there's some risk, and and then you slip and you slide your way through there. I pull into the parking lot, and I'm happy about it. I'm like, okay, all right, again, go right on in, get out, and whoop, legs go right out from under me when I'm walking in. It's kind of like you see in the sitcom, the boom, and I hit. No big deal because I landed on my most upholstered area of my body. So it wasn't that big a deal coming in.
If you land, you hope you land on the rump roast.
And that's exactly what I did. During the break, I said, I got to go run out to the truck because my laptop I'd actually loaded the backpack in the car while I was defrosting and everything. So I just stuck the laptop in my roller bag. I got to get that out of there.
And as I found out one day last week, got to make sure the computer is with you when you leave the house.
So I go down there to get it, go down the steps, and it's in my mind about being more careful about it, but nevertheless, whoop, legs go out again, hit the ground a little bit harder. I felt it, but still kind of laughing about it. And I'm like, okay, all right, then get up, get the laptop out of the roller bag, leave, turn, get on the thing, whoop, it happened again. And this time it kind of hurt because I landed on my rear, but I also hit my elbow, but it didn't do any damage. But it's just like, walk much? In icy conditions? Come on, man. Get your act together. So 3 times. So be careful. It reminds me that there's this skit on Saturday Night Live that my older brother and I used to talk about. It was from 1990 with Tom Hanks. And it was the same episode where he becomes a member of the Five Timers Club, that deal. And they recently re-aired it on NBC, and I had a DVR set, and I rolled it, and it had this one skit where Tom Hanks is in there with, I think, Jan Hooks and a couple others in there, and they he tastes this milk that's real sour, and the whole family has to taste it. Oh, let me see. Oh, that's just awful. That's rancid. Here, let me try it. And then they all have to sit on the nail, and they all have to fall down the stairs. And it's like, one guy does it, and then the rest of the family. That's what it was like. It was like, how many times could I fall on my butt going out to the truck and back? 3 right now, and counting, because the show and the day is still young.
When you talk about SNL commercials and stuff, I didn't know if you're going to make a colon blow reference.
Love that.
If you got, I don't know if you got into that kind of dicey.
How many bowls now, Phil Hartman?
1 million.
Colon blow.
So you're good.
I'm okay.
Okay. I was wondering if that's. I was telling you during the break. That's a really nice Bally's jacket. That North Face Bally's jacket you got.
It's one of the few actual things that Bally's material-wise doing all those state championships say, hey, we got a jacket for her. Oh, okay. And when you're getting ready to go to Morgantown, now again, I've not heard that there's been any alteration to the plan.
Okay.
But the Texas women are still planning to leave today to fly to Morgantown, where it's not icy, but there is snow falling in Morgantown. Yeah, temperature about the same, snow falling up there, but they're due to fly up there, and they start Big 12 Conference play, the second half of it, tomorrow night at the WVU Coliseum against West Virginia.
So here's what we'll do right now. I know everybody wants to talk about Big 12 schedule release and what could be coming at 1 o'clock today.
Yeah.
Well, that will be the second notebook, because I want to devote an entire notebook to the Big 12 schedule release.
I can hardly wait.
What we know, what we think is going to happen, what we've heard might happen, predictions. We'll get into all that with the schedule release. But one thing I want to hit on before we get out of this segment.
Incidentally, this is the most anticipated excitement discussed from the fan base schedule release. This borders on NFL schedule release conversation like we always have when it comes out for every pay because of the newbies coming in and what's expected to be the final year for Texas and Oklahoma to be competing in the Big 12.
Let's talk about the Moody Center really quick because, yes, it was loud in the building last night. And yes, the corral has made a massive difference.
Our fearless leader, Jason Nasur, texted me at one point. He goes, "It's my first game in here." He goes, "It's bleeping loud."
Okay. And I'm not taking away anything from crowd participation. It was great last night.
It was.
The sound system at Moody last night, it was absurdly loud, was it not?
It's a little obtrusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
With the
like,
noise.
it was cranked up more than it has been probably since the opener. Like, for the opener, it was one of those deals where it was really loud, and I know they talk about, okay, we're just still working out the kinks, figuring out the right levels. But last night, that SOB was cranked up about as high as it could go.
I'm wondering, it got to the point where Patrick Davis, our engineer, when we're coming out of a break, and Eddie Orrin's microphone is on and my microphone is on, and I'm coming up and I usually am reading a drop-in announcement thing and then moving on. Patrick was having to mute Eddie's microphone just so it was only my mic was open because of the volume level, just to be able to get the announcement out.
Man.
Yeah, it is extremely loud, and it's made me wonder, I think I know, the way this deal works is that it's turned over to that game day crew, the crew that handles the volume on those kinds of things and the DJ and all that other stuff. And clearly they, I don't think, have been instructed to change anything, have not been told anything by UT Athletics, might want to dial it back just a notch or two because it's uncomfortable loud. There's loud and you want the great environment. So,
like the UTEP game, it was uncomfortably loud, but that was understandable. It was the first game of the year. You're figuring everything out. And then it's been fine. It's been tolerable. Last night, man, especially sitting where we sit on press row where you're right there next to it, I left with a headache last night. And again, I know,
and we're telling people to get off our lawns too.
By it's a little bit of that, but the crowd participation was great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And Scott Drew said after the game, he said, "Hey man, it's a tough place to play. They did a great job putting this thing together. It's loud and Texas men's basketball has a legitimate home court advantage for the first time in my lifetime, where you can say, hey, you go down to play in Austin, it's going to be tough.
Probably for the first time since like the early 70s at Gregory Gym.
Yeah.
When they had, I know when Leon Black was coaching and they were making NCAA tournament runs. Probably then.
Even Rick's really good teams.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the Kevin Durant year, like being able to walk up and get like $5 mezzanine tickets just at right before tip.
And there were selected home games where you would have the real live Kansas, OU, A&M. Usually, and if there was a big non-conference opponent, Villanova or Wake Forest, maybe UConn. That was pretty much it. The rest of the time, it just wasn't the same.
Like I told you, the best environments I've been in inside the Irwin Center for were high school basketball games. Some of those state tournament games, especially when you got like, what year was it that Marcus Smart and Flower Mound Marcus were playing?
2013 or so.
The Harrison Twins, yeah.
To
Some of those games were epic.
The crowd level for Monday or Tuesday's night game, women's game against Oklahoma State, J.C. Hoyt, the Cowgirls head coach, took her team off the floor to go back inside the tunnel to talk to her team because the music was too loud.
Man, that's wild. But it's great that Texas has a home court advantage. I did not know that, Cam. That's wild.
That's something else, isn't it?
It's gonna be like, you remember those Bulls Jazz final series where like inside the Delta Center where Phil Jackson had to wear earplugs?
Yep.
Everybody on the bench had to wear earplugs because it was just insanely loud. I think that's what Moody Center's becoming.
At certain points, I want to pull a John Elway and turn around and just, pull crowd
right.
noise. Come on, guys.
Jalen Hurts did that a couple of times. Philadelphia, when we were getting down near the goal line against the 49ers, he was like, hey, let's quiet down a little bit. Simmer down now. Just doing a little bit of that.
We got time to hear this Jabari Rice audio, do we not?
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
Jabari, of course, wound up being the leading scorer, 21.6 rebounds, 4 big threes. The last 3 were huge clutch threes as well. And that was part of the conversation that I had with Jabari.
I've asked you about this before, having that before. certain feel of it, and you knocked down 4 threes in the second half. Is that a feel thing and rhythm? I know the guys were wanting to get you the ball a lot.
Yeah. It's all my teammates, honestly. I give them all the credit. They just found me when I was open, and I was able to knock down the shots from the time that I put in every day.
How important was it for what you guys did defensively based on what Baylor is capable of doing offensively?
Oh, yeah, it was a big emphasis on guarding one-on-one defense and being able to play team defense and playing better defense than we did against Tennessee. We felt like Tennessee imposed their will on us, and so tonight we wanted to impose our will on the defensive end, and it worked out on both ends.
Does it require a lot of discipline to make sure you can be physical, impose your will, and yet not get into foul trouble?
Yes, I got 4 fouls tonight, so I was a little bit in foul trouble, but honestly, it just kind of comes with the game, and as long as it's smart fouls and you playing with your hair on fire, it's okay.
Feel good to be in first place of the midway mark of conference play?
Yeah, it's all right. I don't really feel it because we don't have a trophy in our hand.
Yeah, we don't have a trophy in our hands yet. It's only halfway through, and that's a good perspective to have about it. It's good to be where they are. You'd rather be in first than any other spot in the standings, but again, it's only the halfway point. As we mentioned, it's going to be a grind all the way through. And really and truly, to be honest, the Longhorns are hitting the tougher stretch of the schedule. Will be the second half.
Yeah.
By having to go to K-State and Kansas back-to-back.
I played Kansas twice.
Yeah.
Got the rematch with Baylor.
Got a rematch with TCU in Fort Worth. Got a rematch with Baylor on the road. I mean, it's and K-State on the road. So yeah, it's going to be difficult.
I look at it, Craig, like last night was huge. The way I look at the your wins and losses in conference, you're talking about splits and sweeps, right? The opponents that you can sweep, especially like Oklahoma. We saw it with Oklahoma State. Man, can you get that win on your home floor to finish off a series sweep of somebody?
Oklahoma and West Virginia.
Yeah.
If you get those, you've already done it with Oklahoma State.
With TCU, Baylor, you're at least going to split those games. Like if you can get a split by beating K-State on Saturday, that's going to be massive coming down the stretch.
Yep. If you can split the Kansas, K-State, Baylor, and TCU series, that's big. That does mean 4 more losses.
Iowa State too.
And then if you're beating Iowa State at home, and then can you sweep Tech on the road?
Yeah.
Can you get the sweeps over Oklahoma and West Virginia? If you do that, you finish 12-6 in the league.
12-6 might win the league.
Close. I think it might be second or right around there, or maybe a tie for it.
So you think 13 is the magic number?
Probably. 14-4 will definitely do it.
For sure.
I think.
Yeah.
If they go 7-2 in the second half, they're going to win the league.
Yeah.
13-5 might, but it's right in that area, I think. Anyway, with the way this league is, we'll see how it is. With that. Let's see. Somebody said, games against Texas Tech with Penders off the charts. Arkansas, yeah, there was something about that. Somebody said, we attend every women's home game at Moody. The complaints are consistent about the ridiculous volume of the music, very unprofessional. No, actually, it's quite professional because it's like that's what pro sports teams do. It's what you're experiencing if you go in an NBA arena. It's very much the same. It is.
Yeah.
And it says, can't CDC do something about this? I don't think
that he wants to.
I don't think he cares to do anything about it because the students love it. And they're all happening about it.
Like I said, the arena volume, I'm just going to bring earplugs from now on.
Yeah.
Because I can't have a conversation with the person sitting next to me anyway.
Yeah.
And plus, I know I'm making my voice note about it, but let's be honest, man, that's not about me,
Yeah.
And the older folks, it's not about what anybody else wants. Like you said, Craig, the students love it, the players love it. It's a problem for the opponents. So there's no reason for CDC to change it.
Yeah. Stoner said, just glad the clocks worked sufficiently.
Hey.
I found out that because of what happened with the women's game Saturday night and the snafus with the shot clocks and things like that the people from Doctronics, who handled a lot of that stuff, were there until the wee hours of Sunday morning working it, and that they had what was described to me as an army of Doctronics people in the arena last night in case there was an issue.
On standby.
Scramble, like a SWAT team to get those clocks up and running. But fortunately, there were no issues. It all worked out well. Speaking of issues, we have Inconceivable. That's coming up next when we continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. One thing I can tell you is even in this inclement weather, you can shop online for a new or used car, truck, or SUV. You don't have to go down and stand outside and look at it. Go online to LeafJohnsonFord.com, L-E-I-F, LeafJohnsonFord.com. You'll see the entire inventory of new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs from the Leaf Johnson Ford family of dealerships, like Leaf Johnson's Truck City Ford in Buda, Leaf Johnson's Riata Ford in Manor, and the original Superstore location at Airport Boulevard in Canning Lane. You'll see the entire inventory online. You can make the call on the vehicle that works best for you. Linda and I did that when we picked out our 2022 Ford Edge online. And you don't even have to go down to the dealership. You can make the deal online with our digital staff, get your trade appraised so you can get full value for that, work out the financing option that works best for you. All of this online. And then when all is said and done, they'll deliver your new car, truck, or SUV to your home or office or place of business, wherever you want it delivered, and they'll haul away your trade. It's that easy. Check them out online at LeafJohnsonFord.com. Leaf Johnson Ford is still the leader. Well, some folks might look at it outside. It's inconceivable that I could fall on my butt 3 times walking to and from my truck.
Thrice times.
Thrice.
On the rump.
Our producer, Cam Parker, to the rescue again, giving me a couple ibuprofen for the sore right elbow. Nothing structurally wrong. It's all right.
So
just sore.
You can be like Brock Purdy and need a recovery from a UCL
I don't think so.
injury.
I think I could throw more than a screen pass. Now, it would be way off target, but I could probably do it if I had to do it. Here's a couple of things that are kind of troubling.
Say you can call the UT baseball office. They can put you up, get you hooked up with somebody that knows something about a good Tommy John surgery.
Yeah,
if you need it.
exactly.
'Cause I stumbled through that.
We've had another issue with the Dallas Zoo.
Another one?
Another one.
Was it the leopard got out last time?
The leopard got out, and then remember someone killed a vulture. They had that. Someone's been getting into the zoo and like cutting open like the enclosures, like from the back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the leopard got out. They got that back. Somebody got in and for whatever reason decided to kill a vulture, which is just wrong and sad.
Terrible.
We've had this discussion before, Jeff, and we haven't asked Cam and we'll do this, but the animal that unnerves you the most.
The snake?
The snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if a snake got out of an enclosure in a zoo, you would not be comfortable
By the
with that
way,
if you were there.
The Grand Prairie Cobra is still at large, so when everybody in the Metroplex who might be listening, or if you got family in the Metroplex, be aware the Grand Prairie Cobra, to my knowledge, has not been found.
It might not be surviving this ice storm.
Presumed dead, but I'm not going to presume anything about a cobra in the wild.
Cam, is there one particular animal or member of the animal kingdom that gives you the woolies more than any other specific one, mainly because of the prospect if you ever had to encounter it? You know, is there one specific one that comes in the mind for you? If you had your choice of any member of the animal kingdom that just kind of gives you the woolies and bothers you a little bit, which one would that be?
Gorilla, 100%.
Gorilla?
Gorillas.
Okay.
Cam's with you on the primates.
Primates, which is leading me to the Dallas Zoo. 2 of the zoo's emperor tamarin monkeys have been stolen after they were discovered missing.
Stolen?
Stolen. After they were missing from their enclosure yesterday and their habitat had been intentionally compromised. Emperor tamarin monkeys would likely stay close to home. The zoo searched near their habitat and across zoo grounds, but did not locate them. So they think somebody out and out, as Eddie Murphy would say, somebody went and done stole them. You know, they stole them. Dallas Police Department said in its preliminary investigation found the habitat had been intentionally cut open, and it's believed the animals were intentionally taken from the enclosure. The zoo, of course, is closed anyway due to the inclement air. That's what it looks like. That's what Jeff, an emperor tamarin monkey.
If you kind of look at it at first glance with the mustache, with the whiskers there, does it kind of look like a schnauzer a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Does have almost I own a schnauzer. It does have kind of a little bit of a schnauzer face. Okay, so first it was on the 13th of the month when the clouded leopard named Nova disappeared. The fence had been intentionally cut, but they found her close to her habitat later the day. A similar cut had been in the enclosure of some langur monkeys, but none of those monkeys left their habitat. Then they found a vulture named Penn, found dead in its habitat, had an unusual wound and injuries, and now they've got these monkeys missing. What
Get
in
it
the
together,
world?
Dallas.
Yeah, what is going on? Get some security out there.
Y'all ever like
whatever.
going to the zoo, just like standing by the monkey cage for a little bit and just watch them fling poo at each other?
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
like
that
doing
does happen. It does
It's
happen.
pretty funny.
Meanwhile, they don't have this problem at the Dallas Zoo, but they have another problem in New York. A huge humpback whale is washed ashore.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
happened yesterday. Big old whale.
Dang.
Yeah, washed
That's a
ashore.
huge whale.
Lido Beach yesterday.
Like Alito, Texas?
No, not Lido, just Lido.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like Boss Skaggs Lido Shuffle,
I got
Lido,
Okay.
Lido, where there's dancing on the Lido deck if you're on a cruise ship or something. But huge humpback whale washed ashore. They removed the carcass higher in the shoreline to avoid the next high tide, conducting an autopsy to determine cause of death. It's the 18th large whale to strand on the East Coast, going all the way back through last year.
That sounds like an absurdly large number.
It does, doesn't it? So, yeah, that was kind of unnerving.
Y'all remember that Family Guy episode where Peter tried to get the whale back in the water with a forklift and he just ended up stabbing the whale?
Yeah, that was not good. Okay. Here's something for your cauldron.
Oh, somebody needed to be boiled in oil and have their fat sold for soap. I had to educate Cam last week on what we need to do when it's time to get the cauldron ready.
Tell me if this doesn't fit the category. A California father has been charged with 3 counts of attempted murder after he allegedly drove a car off an oceanside cliff with his wife and 2 children in the car.
Okay, that's got to be like a red flag record for a lead in a crime story. Okay.
Prosecutors have accused Dharmesh Patel of intentionally steering his Tesla off a portion of the PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. If you've ever driven down, it gets, they're along the cliffs and stuff. He drove it off an area called Devil's Slide, sending the family plunging about 250 feet to a rocky beach below. All 4 family members survived the crash.
Dang.
All of them. 2 of the 3 counts against Patel come with domestic violence and great bodily injury enhancements. His wife is still hospitalized after suffering major injuries, and the couple's 7-year-old child was also injured. Miraculously, the 4-year-old came out with just some bruises, and that does not qualify for significant bodily injury, they said, explaining why the enhancements were left off the 3rd charge. Though the victims were not named in the charging documents, the California Highway Patrol previously said the passengers were the driver's wife and 2 children. Now, look at this car. How does anybody survive that? And look, I listen, I was one of 5 kids, and we would drive to the beach in the summertime. And if my brother started fighting or picking on me, or if there was something going on, occasionally my dad would give it the standard stock line of the 60s and 70s. And if I have to pull over, if I have to pull this car, my dad actually mastered the art of being able to drive with the left hand and reach with the right and be able to place a hand on one of my brothers to break up a fight.
I'm sure you had to do that a time or two when your kids were younger.
I was like, don't make me have to pull this car over.
Quit pulling your sister's hair.
Okay, so this kind of takes it to the extreme, pulling the car over. If I have to pull this car off a cliff.
We're going to do something special for this gentleman. We're going to skip the cauldron.
Okay.
We're going to make him be a human crash test dummy. That's going to be his...
there you go.
It's going to be his punishment.
Okay. Our final story here goes back to the place where I like to go to find some unusual stories.
We're going down under?
Yes, we are. And this is quite an interesting story.
We go now to our inconceivable Australian Bureau Chief Craig Way for this update.
Well, they say it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, It's a 6-millimeter silver capsule that was lost somewhere along a vast stretch of desert highway in Queensland in Australia. So what's the big deal? You say somebody lost a little capsule. Yeah, kind of a big deal. It's got Caesium-137. It's a highly radioactive substance used in mining equipment. So they said they checked all roads in and out of the Gudari-Dari mine site in remote northern Western Australia, where the device was located before a contractor collected it for the journey south to the state capital, Perth. They believe the capsule fell off the back of a truck.
How'd you like to be the schmuck who was responsible for losing that?
Wow.
Well, what had happened was, yeah.
So there are fears that it may have already been carried farther from the search zone. Somebody may have found, creating a radioactive health risk for anyone who comes across it for potentially the next 300 years.
300 years.
It's got a shelf life. So
sounds lovely.
It's out in the middle of Australia. Fat income. Be able to find it, mate, because it's kind of dangerous out there with a radioactive capsule.
Let's get Crocodile Dundee on the case.
Yeah. That's not a knife.
He'd be able to find it.
Now, that's a knife. All right. We got hour number 2. Light the Tower. Caminette right here. On 1049, 1019, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com.
while you're inside today, avoiding that winter weather we're dealing with, take a look at your home entertainment setup and ask yourself if you're happy with it. And if you're not, just get in touch with my guy Tom McKay and the folks at Audio Visual Consultations. 512-255-8678 is the number you need to call. They will get you set up like they got me set up. When I made the move down south to San Marcos about a year and a half ago, I was ready to upgrade my home entertainment setup. And Tom McKay and Company came out to the house and they put together a package that not only made sense for the budget I had in mind, but it made sense for the amount of space I have in my house. So now I'm watching all my sports movies and TV on a 75-inch LG TV with the Sonos sound system. Tom McKay and AV Consultations, they keep the latest smart TVs and Sonos audio in stock. And everybody's trying to save $1 right now, and they're not raising prices like everyone else is. So don't think you're going to go to a big box store or some electronics store and get a better deal than what AV Consultations can do for you, because you won't find it there. If you need what I've got, if you've got that amount of space, if you need something smaller, or if you can fit that full tilt home theater experience in your house, get you one of those screens up to 150 inches. AV Consultations can make it happen for you. Whatever your needs are, big or small, let Tom McKay & Company take care of it. 512-255-8678 or get to avconsultations.com. Let Tom McKay and Audio Visual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment setup of your dreams.
Hey, hats off to somebody with KView or TxDOT, because he just showed a live video. There's a car that's hauling ass down Mopac. I mean, it's moving. I would say be careful.
Even if that inconsiderate sir or madam I mentioned earlier happens to work for the state, it's, drive at your own risk.
We're watching a live shot with Brad Wheelis, who used to work for us at the other place. Well, left us to go work at TxDOT, and he does a great job over there at TxDOT. But so he was talking about how slick it is out there. I would say to you, it's slicker if you're walking than driving, only because of my missteps in the last hour. When I got here, slipped and fell on my rear end, on the tuchus coming in, so no big deal. Went out during the break to get my laptop out of there, slipped and fell not once but twice. Once going out to the truck, the other coming back in. Banged up the elbow a little bit. It's all right. Nothing structurally wrong, just sore, thanks to our producer, Cam Parker, retrieving a couple of ibuprofens for me, and it feels better already. So, it's an issue. Somebody said, dang, Craig, I thought I was hearing Chris Hemsworth doing an interview. Crikey, somebody else said as well. And then somebody else said, come on, Craig, it's a bad coaching mistake. Walk slower. I was barely moving. It's just a slick. It's that old, like it'd be black ice, but it wasn't. It was just slick ice because I was aware that I'd already fallen once. First time I didn't see it. The second and third time, yeah. Yeah. So, anyway.
Hey, real quick, I just want to make a point known because I told the great Mark Rosner I would talk about this today.
Yes.
I ran into Roz last night before the game in the fruit line last night.
Okay, let's explain a couple things. First of all, Mark Rosner, long time, for many years, was a beat writer for the Austin American-Statesman. Now does what? AP?
Yes.
Yeah. Works for AP, and Roz has been around it, and probably, I would say, for the media sorts, as I've heard Dave Bliss, when he was coaching at SMU, once referred to media as media sorts.
We could refer to Dave Bliss in a number of ways.
How about that? Yeah. Mark Rosner probably as basketball savvy and knows the game about as well as just about anybody.
100%.
Knows the game really well.
So, Roz, I'm getting some fruit last night, and I jokingly said, hey, Roz, save some fruit for me, because, Roz takes care of himself.
He does.
He
and the
healthy.
fruit, by the way, would be in the media dining room, which we've talked about, which basically has whittled it down to 4 basic choices that were in a rotation. There's either the hot dogs, there's these chicken sliders, and then what we had last night is what's normally there, which is kind of a Southwestern kind of buffet.
I go straight to the deli line.
Yeah, they have a deli table, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that bothered me last night, they ran out of plasticware. There was a whole passel of us, and I poked my head in the kitchen and said, can we get some, plastic? Oh, yeah, that's coming up. Waited a bit. But you were talking about the fruit.
Yeah, so Ross is loading up on fruit. I jokingly said, I was like, hey, Ross, save me some fruit while I'm making a sandwich. And he said, maybe you and Craig should talk about, fruit on the show instead of, burgers and stuff. So I'll let Ross know I did load up on fruit last night. The honeydew was excellent. Because, in the wintertime, fruit, especially melon-based fruit, can be kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
The watermelon was okay, not very flavorful, but the honeydew last night was on point.
Well, that's good. See, here's the reason why. And if you're listening, here's the reason why I haven't gotten into them more. I hate melons. I don't like melon. I don't eat watermelon. I don't eat cantaloupe. Honeydew melon.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Just never liked it.
Really?
That was from the time I was a little kid. Never liked watermelon. Didn't like the seeds. Didn't like kind of had a weird off taste to me. Same thing with cantaloupe. Just never liked it. Never liked it. And people would say, what's so juicy? It's so yeah, lots of fruits are juicy.
So like me with peanut butter, that's you with fruit.
With not fruit. Melons. Okay. By the way, you were just in Myrtle Beach for my wedding last summer. Did you see the knockoff version of Hooters down there called Melons? Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I didn't see it.
There's a knockoff place down there. It's a Hooters knockoff.
There's tight ends in Houston, right?
Tight ends. Is that their knockoff of what am I thinking? Gosh, not Tilted Kill because they went out of
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, yeah.
I guess so. I did not go in. I just saw tight ends and I saw a few waiters walking around. I was like,
okay. Anyway, melons, watermelon, cantaloupe, never liked it. Honeydew melon, I can take in small amounts because it doesn't have quite that taste to the others, and I don't have to worry about seeds or any of that other stuff. But by and large, I really don't like melon. Now, other fruits, absolutely. I love blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, obviously bananas, pineapple. Love pineapple. So I like all of those berries. Grapes, like those. Oranges, tangerines. I like all that stuff.
Okay.
Like it and eat it and all that kind of stuff.
Where do you stand on the white flesh peach?
I like peaches, so I'm okay with that.
I'm a big fan of the white flesh.
I'm all right
peach.
with that. Yeah. Like peaches. Pears. Love pears. I really do. A good pear.
Just a good Bartlett pear.
Yeah, I love those. A golden delicious apple. Love all of that fruit. Just not melons. Just not my thing on melons.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I am
to
with
each
that.
their own.
Yeah.
I loaded up on.
Yeah,
the,
you
on
don't
the
like
fruit
peanut
last night.
butter. Linda doesn't eat peanut butter. She's allergic to peanuts. She has a peanut allergy.
That's right. Yep.
So she can't eat. She even cannot eat M&Ms because, I didn't know this. Obviously peanut M&Ms, they have peanuts in them, obviously. But she says that even though it's not listed, I showed her because I really like plain M&Ms. I've always liked plain M&Ms, and she won't eat those because she said some of it can kind of be mixed in with some peanut oil in the manufacturing of it. So she's had to be careful about that. So Jeff says snozzberries. Remember that from Willy Wonka? So somebody said, I've been listening to you for years. I'm 61. I'm exactly like you are. Can't stand watermelon or cantaloupe or any of that kind of stuff.
So snozzberries taste like snozzberries.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, kiwi is a no-go either. Actually, I've had kiwi fruit. I'm about with that like I am with honeydew. I'm okay with that. I can eat some of it because it has a little bit different taste. It doesn't. Watermelon and cantaloupe taste very similar to me.
Where do you stand on the pluot? You ever heard of pluot?
No.
It's a plum apricot hybrid.
Okay, I don't like plums and I don't like apricots, so that would take them off the list.
You're out totally.
Rick Barnes and I were talking the other day about the things, how he liked the West Virginia hot dogs we were talking about, and the other thing he loved was the August pies, those fried pies. You've been out to Lubbock, covered a basketball game, where they had those pies, those fried pies, and they're really good. And they had them for years and years in the media room. And Brian Davis, who, of course, worked for the Statesman, now works for the university, used to do a great impersonation of Jack Dale, the late, great play-by-play voice of the Texas Tech Red Raiders from Brian's days of covering the Red Raiders. He says, Brian, have you ever tried an August pie? So, those Rick Barnes loved those August pies. Yeah. And I like the lemon, the blueberry, and the chocolate. Not an apricot guy. He loved the apricot. When Jerry Johnson was the ops director, he would have Jerry contact the August pie people upon delivery, and they would have he'd take 6 home with him. They would set aside some for him to take home before they set the whole big compliment out for the media. He loved the August pies,
Cam,
which were made in Abilene, by the way.
Cam, you got any weird food allergy or anything like that? Something you just can't eat?
No, fortunately, I've been blessed where I don't have any bad food allergies like peanut. I don't know what I would do without peanut butter. To hear you don't like peanut butter, Jeff, just blows my mind. I eat peanut butter more than I eat anything.
It's a texture thing. My daughter loves it.
I had a peanut butter breakfast bar on the way in. Yeah. I love peanut butter. My late wife, Laurie, loved peanut butter when she was pregnant with any of our 4 kids. Mm-hmm. Big peanut butter cravings and stuff like that. That and the jumbo taco from Jack in the Box.
Didn't really have any of those cravings like that when there's those weird stuff like pickles and ice cream or whatever.
Right.
But it seemed like when she was pregnant, it seemed like we ate an inordinate amount of pancakes at Cracker Barrel.
There you go.
But
there you go.
It was pancakes at Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
So see, Roz, we can't talk about fruit and healthy things. By the way, Chan, hard or soft pears. If you've got the proverbial gun to your head, give me an Asian pear.
Oh,
you see the nice round golden ones?
Yeah. I've seen them. I don't think I've ever had one.
Around them. Yeah.
Somebody said, I'm with you. Melons are about the only things I don't like, especially cantaloupe, honeydew, and watermelon. Yeah, like I said, the honeydew I can kind of take a little bit because it doesn't taste quite like the others. It's just, to me, cantaloupe and watermelon taste the same or similar enough to where I don't like it. Like cotton candy grapes, Craig says, John, I don't know if I've had cotton candy grapes. Soft pears or hard pears? Yes. I like them both. I like pears. I always have. I like, the pear halves. When I was a widower for a time, kind of just me and the dog in the house, I would go to the store and I'd load up on pears, and sometimes if I didn't want to bother with the produce section, I'd just go and get some of those canned half pears. I would eat those. I like those. I would eat those as well. Fortunately,
so basically, what you're saying is, if Linda hadn't come back into your life, you'd be eating a steady diet of canned fruit and potted meat right now.
Pretty much. And so fortunately, yes, I'm happily married to someone who is a fabulous cook, and sometimes that's not the best thing in the world for my waistline, but I am eating better than I was in my widower days when I was eating either junk food or media meal and nothing else, or if I was running up to the Randalls near the house, picking up some canned pears and some stuff like that. I don't know that I did too much of the potted meat, but it was ready prep meals, put it that way.
I think you're a doomsday guy. Like, man, this dude's loading up on Spam and canned pears.
He's expecting the big one to drop at any moment.
He's ready for the apocalypse.
Yeah, he's ready for that to happen.
Craig, when the apocalypse happens, will you find yourself like a public access radio frequency and do a play-by-play of the apocalypse? I think it would calm everybody and prepare them more for the inevitable.
If I was doing play-by-play of the catastrophic events to bring human civilization as we know it to an end, yeah, I'll do that. I'm in.
We can get a say goodnight to this one if cannibals and zombies just start feasting on someone in your line of sight.
Yeah, or the big meteor coming in, say goodnight to it. Would that be
like
off
that?
there? Yeah.
I think it would. Okay. I think it'd bring a calming presence to Gen Pop if you did that. Yeah. I know I'd feel better about my demise.
All right, I'll keep that in mind there. Somebody, Carolina Sam says, I love just eating peanut butter right out of the jar. I have to have my own jar because my wife hates that I do that. One thing that I will say this about being married and in an empty nest, because I've got one left in college, but he's only home like an occasional weekend and mainly in the holidays.
And when Jason's at home, the collective junk food count in the house skyrockets.
Yeah, it does, and the sodas and all that kind of stuff as well. And you walk in there and there's Mountain Dew Code Red in the fridge, with red hot corn nuts.
Suddenly, the oatmeal cream pie is a significant player in the house.
The oatmeal cream pie Bluebell ice cream, which is awesome. By the way, if you hadn't had that, the count on that goes down quite a bit. But Lynn and I, because it's just the two of us, we drink different milks. She likes complete fat-free milk, and I like 2%. So we'll buy like a half gallon, and the organic stuff lasts longer with some of that. So she'll buy a half gallon. We'll get a half gallon of the fat-free and a half gallon of the 2%. And then we're both just at times just drinking right out of the carton because she drinks out of hers and I drink out of mine.
My wife swears she can taste a significant difference between 2% and 1% milk. And I'm like, the 1% just makes that big of a difference.
I can taste a little bit of a difference because I drink 2% pretty regularly.
I can tell the difference between like 2% and whole milk, but once you get to 2% and below, it's all the same to me.
But I bet you could definitely taste the difference between 2% and fat-free, less than 1%, just fat-free.
No, not really.
Wow. Okay.
I said it's all the same at that point.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. Chan says any pears that is soft is good. He said the Asian pears included. Yeah. Okay. Somebody says try organic almond butter. Good for omega-3s. Peanuts mostly 6s in the Whole Foods.
I'm gonna be 40 in September, so I gotta start watching that stuff.
Yeah.
Cam, enjoy that metabolism while you got it, sir.
Somebody said, so you both drink white water? What's that? I don't know what that is. Oh, I
don't know. Oh, I think that means like skim milk would be like.
White water, the skim milk. 2% is what I prefer. She drinks it completely fat-free, and then. And I'll drink. I prefer 2%, but I can drink 1%. And boy, you can tell you when you haven't had whole milk in a while, and then you get something like that. Like if I'm on the road with the Longhorn basketball team, men's or women's, and they have like the little cartons of milk and stuff out there, and they might have like some whole milk out there, but they have some 2%. If I was getting a bowl of cereal or oatmeal and I put a little bit of the whole milk, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like throwing a thick coating on top of things.
Are y'all into the almond milk, hemp milk?
Tastes like dirt.
I'm not so
Oat
much
milk?
into it. Yeah.
Tastes like dirt.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, female listener 28 wants to know if we can get another example of your apocalypse play-by-play.
Wow. I'd have to think about that. You know,
You have
just
to,
be
you have
the
to
right
envision.
thing.
You give Craig a minute to. This is like Craig Way recites hip-hop lyrics. You can't just give Craig the lyric sheet and tell him to go. You got to put some thought into it. Do a little research.
Yeah, otherwise it just sounds disjointed. Sounds disjointed anyway. All right.
Look, if Craig's going to call the apocalypse, he's going to do it in a professional manner.
That's exactly
Prep
right.
and have laminated broadcast charts and the whole deal.
Yes, when we're all shaking this mortal coil, when we're here to the end of days, it better be scripted out nicely.
Why do I feel like even at that point you'll have problems getting your broadcast charts printed?
Yeah, that might be
And
difficult.
that'll be a big hassle.
Yeah. You know, Office Depot might not be open.
You think it's a
for
hassle
that.
now.
Yeah. You wait and see. All right. Longhorn Notebook coming up next when we continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 1049, 1019, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. You know, we were talking about eating better, drinking better, trying to get in better shape. You know, our friends at Total Men's Primary Care can help you with that. Yes, the holidays are over, so maybe you're not eating quite as irregularly, as you were earlier. And so it could be a perfect time to do that. Total Men's Primary Care can help you establish a baseline goal for the new year. And through a combination of coaching and diet, Total Men's Primary Care can help you stay healthy, and they can help determine a game plan that is built just for you. Taking care of your health has never been easier. You go to TotalMens.com. You'll see the yellow button that says book an appointment. You click on that button and then make the appointment for yourself or a family member at any of the 20-plus Austin area locations and be seen that same day. It's Total Men's Primary Care, the doctor's office just for men.
VIP. Let's kick it.
Okay, I didn't know you were doing Vanilla Ice at first. I thought you were when we heard that, since he's sampling Queen's Under Pressure there.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I thought.
No, going with the Ice theme for the day.
We had a deal the other night. Yeah, it's a good point. In Knoxville, during shoot-around, they were playing the hip-hop tune that samples the beat from Michael McDonald's I Keep Forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing
So Warren G and Nate Dogg Regulate. That's what sampled that.
Play that one. What is it? Who is it?
Warren G and Nate Dogg Regulate.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like right near the end of Shoot Around.
The late great Nate Dogg, by the way.
The late great Nate Dogg?
Yes.
Okay. So they were playing that at Shoot Around because, I've mentioned this before, that it's quite an eclectic taste between the players and the coaches, what they do, the music during practices and shoot arounds
Right.
that they come. I mean, they're big on that Miley Cyrus tune, the Party in the USA. They're big on that, and some of the other ones as well. And so they have this collection. Is this the one?
Yeah. This is the Michael McDonald sample. You got it.
Okay.
It builds up.
It doesn't have anything objectionable on it that you don't.
I don't know, Cameron. Did you find the is this
Clean version?
Of course, on my first day,
Okay.
Jeff.
So this is it. So
Yeah.
you start playing this, and the guys were grooving to it. Yeah, Jeff's grooving on it. And they were doing that. Keep that running. Now pull up Michael McDonald. I keep forgetting. Because I said, whoa. Not that I hadn't heard this before. I have. Like I said, it's part of the regular play, but the guys were grooving to it. And I said, you know what you're doing here, don't you? I said, you're sampling my Yacht Rock King, with Michael McDonald from, I think, 1982, I believe it's something like that. This is it right here. Yeah. Who I say, he is the king of Yacht Rock. And I think we even have this as bump pack music on Longhorn baseball games. I think right here. Here he is right here. So I played this off my phone to some of the guys. The Fireball, in fact. Like, Fireball, here it is, man. Here's the jam. It's a little Yacht Rock there.
99% chance 0 of those players have any idea what Michael McDonald is or Yacht Rock
what
is.
Yacht Rock is. I'm totally with you. Yep. You're exactly right. There's no doubt about it. All right. It is time now for a Flex 30 update. And it's significant to point this out on this Flex 30 update. All right, here's your Flex 30 update. Everything's canceled. We're not able to play boys basketball tonight, girls basketball tonight, soccer, varsity matches, and competitions and contests canceled due to the inclement and icy weather around the area. That includes that huge big girls basketball game, the rematch between Pflugerville and Hendrickson. Cam Parker, you did the first one, right?
Yeah.
You called that one,
Right
right?
at the very end, too.
I'm trying to remember. How did it end?
Hendrickson lost at home for
Right.
the first time to Pflugerville in, I think, since 2017.
Yeah. So they're supposed to have the big rematch tonight.
Yeah, and Pflugerville's undefeated, 11-0 in district
No.
play.
Not happening.
Yep.
So they're not playing, and it was going to be televised. Roger Wallace and Zay Collier on the call, but it won't happen tonight. So schools are working to redo their district schedules. Some have already, a few have rescheduled for Thursday, but now, of course, the icy conditions, I'm already hearing that most of the schools are going to be closed tomorrow as well. So Tamara School is closed tomorrow, right?
I don't know they made the call yet, but I'm anticipating it's going that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there it is. There's your Flex 30 update, which leads us from that right into our second hour Longhorn Notebook. A Longhorn Notebook brought to you by Aaron Bowersock, your home loan expert, your Longhorn lender. Check her out on the web at bowersockteam.com, BOWERSOCK, bowersockteam.com.
Big 12 schedule release, Craig.
Here we go.
Only, 3 months too late? For some reason, I remember this thing gets released like in October usually.
Used to be. They ran it right to the deadline. The deadline is February 1st. So here it is January 31st. Yeah. Yeah.
At 1 p.m.
Is that a Brett Yormark thing?
No, that's as we discussed, that's a TV partners.
No, but let me tell you what a Brett Yormark thing is. We got a release from the Big 12 Conference. You talk about your world upside down. The Big 12 basketball tournament in Kansas City.
Oh, is this the hammer dropping?
How about this?
I heard this at Media Days. If this is where I think
the hammer is dropping on the writers.
Yes. Yep.
They've sold all of the courtside seats. And so there's no press row really for writers. They're up in the corners, I guess, or they said press box.
The hockey press box way up at the
way
top.
up there.
Yeah.
They are leaving the radio networks down on the floor.
You talk about the KU writers were teed off something fierce.
I'll bet they were
when that news started circulating.
I'll bet they were. And the writers used to be far better accommodated than the broadcast media in the days going, especially back to the old Kemper Arena days.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, what they used to do is they would alternate. They would only put 2 radios on the floor and put 2 up in the suite to call the game. And I was really not happy with that at all. And I said to the Big 12's media relations director for basketball, I said, "What are you doing? Why are there 2 on the floor?" He said, "Well, we're doing it by seating." I said, "Oh, so let me get this straight. Because the team I broadcast for is not as good as the others, you're punishing me. Is that right?" And he said, "Well, we're not looking at it that way." I said, "How else can you look at it? That's what you're doing." Well, and he mentioned about the late Bob Berry, who was the voice of Oklahoma at the time, and the late Larry Zimmer, who was the voice of Colorado. And he said, "Bob Berry and Larry Zimmer like it?" I said, "Yes. They're incontinent old men who like having the bathroom nearby." By the way, I now understand with regard to that. But so they took care of the writers much more than the broadcast teams. I said, "We have to be there to call it."
The tables have turned now.
I was surprised.
This is exactly why I'm not going to Kansas City.
So is that why? Because you'd have to sit in the hockey box?
I've never been, but that crushed any thought of going. I'm like, why would I pay to sit in the nosebleed section when, thanks to Tom McKay and AV Consultations, I've got a much better setup at home.
Sure.
To watch the Big 12 tournament.
Listen, we all got conditioned to that through the pandemic.
Look, I'm going to keep, for travel, I'm going to keep my powder dry for the NCAA tournament.
There you go.
Because
good call.
We're going to have to, it's going to be a hike wherever.
Jeff, if the Longhorns are sent to Greensboro, I'm taking you to Stamey's Barbecue. We're going.
Look, if I'm going to have to go to Greensboro, I'm going to need something.
You're going to eat Stamey's Barbecue and you're going to eat Yum Yum ice cream.
I'm all about it.
If they're in Greensboro. I'm just saying.
You've never steered me wrong on a food.
Go to Birmingham. We'll go to Dreamland Barbecue. Got to go there in Tuscaloosa, the original one there.
Have to go to Dreamland.
Yeah.
Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, England, as I found
Birmingham, England. Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
That's right. So, anyway. So
there's found out my wife's got the day off tomorrow. So,
see? Yeah. There you go.
Big 12 schedule release.
Yes.
Here's what we know, what we expect to happen when this thing gets released at 1 o'clock. We talked about it. That report from the Houston Chronicle that came out last late summer, early fall. You and I both heard. We talked about it. It's very much expected Texas will play at Houston at some point.
Yep.
Did you see the TCU schedule leak last night?
I did not.
Okay. So that backed up the Chronicle report because the Chronicle report from Joseph Duarte way back when it was released, in addition to that Texas game, it said U of H's first conference game would be against TCU. That TCU U of H game was the Big 12 opener for both teams on that TCU schedule. So we can expect Texas to go to Houston. I was told last night by some folks who would know, it's expected Texas will go to Waco for the return game against Baylor.
Okay.
We know the OU game is going to be in Dallas. Anything else, Craig, you're expecting on this schedule?
Well, again, in visiting with Tony Caridi, the voice of the West Virginia Mountaineers, he told me that he had heard Texas was definitely coming to West Virginia for the return game there. Now, I'd heard some rumblings.
Oh, TCU is the other road trip for Texas.
Okay, makes sense. I'd heard some rumblings in addition to the Texas playing at Houston. That's like one of the worst kept secret things.
Yeah.
I'd also heard that Texas, and I heard Aaron kind of allude to this, will not be going to Stillwater.
Somebody's got to fall off.
Because 2 have to come off and 2 come on. They're going to play 2 of the 4.
And I'm guessing no trip to Ames either.
That I don't know.
It would make sense if you're going to Houston, you're going to Waco, you're going to Fort Worth, and you're going to Morgantown. That's your 4 road games. OU's a neutral site, and then you get 4 home games for a 9-game schedule.
Yeah, but the OU game counts as a home or road, and it counts as a.
It would be a home for Texas this year.
Would it be home?
Yeah.
Okay, see, so that's one more road game. So that's one more road game, and I think the one more road game, again, is one of the 2 newbies. One is Houston, like we said.
I'm almost willing. So then there most likely will be no trip to Ames.
Yeah, if they're going to Orlando or Provo or Cincinnati.
I'm guessing we're swapping in terms of in terms of the media traveling. I'm guessing we're swapping out Ames and going to Provo. That's my
very reasonable guess. I have this weird feeling in my bones it'll be Cincinnati. Okay. But the logic would say Provo.
I just think the Sark tie is the only time Texas in the foreseeable future is going to have a chance to go to Provo.
Makes all the sense. Makes all the sense in the world.
It's the 10-year anniversary of the game where Manny Diaz got tarmacked. There's a lot of symmetry.
Tarmacked. Okay.
And it's the best picture of Rod Babers during his sideline reporting that exists. Because there's a picture, I'm sure everybody's seen it. If you go to the Longhorn Blitz SoundCloud page, it's Matt Butler made that the header. It's a picture of Mac Brown, Manny Diaz, and Dwayne Akina, and Manny just looks like just deer in the headlights because he knows what the deal is. And you just kind of see Rod in the background like, this ain't getting fixed.
Nope.
Like Manny's almost telling like Mac, I'll get it fixed, and it's almost like Rod's just peering in like, this ain't getting fixed.
Yeah. So a Big Crip fan says, is the Houston game at NRG or slumming it? No, it'll be at, what is it, TDECU Stadium?
Which for Texas fans that don't know, they tore down the old Robertson Stadium.
The old erector set.
They've built a new stadium. It's kind of one of the, what I would consider kind of a new age cookie cutter type stadium. It doesn't have a lot of character to it, but it's nice.
Hey, it's a lot better than what it was before. The old Robertson Stadium, the old originally Jeppesen Stadium. Before that was Houston Public Schools Stadium. It's where the Oilers played in the early days. That's where the 1962 AFL Championship game was played between the Dallas Texans and the Houston Oilers, and went double OT with the Texans winning 2017, then packing up and moving to Kansas City to become the Chiefs.
I'm going to get there early enough to where I can make a stop at Frenchie's, which is right there.
Yeah, sure it is.
You got to drive
there
by
in the Ninth Ward. Yeah, got to do that. Absolutely.
So that's it. I mean, so basically what you're down to for Texas road trips is Baylor, TCU, Houston, West Virginia, according to what Tony Caridi told you, and then probably a wild card. One of the noobs.
One of the noobs. Probably
and
Provo.
I'm guessing
You're probably
BYU.
Yeah, that probably makes it. We're gonna find out at 1:00 though. It'll be interesting to see.
It does sound like Texas Tech is prepared to come to Austin, so that return bout will be happening.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the league would want the K-State Texas game. I'm guessing that'll stay.
Yeah, you would think. I guess.
I would think one of the 2 Kansases would drop off. That would be my guess, but maybe they both stay on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Craig, out of the new additions, which stadiums have you been to calling a game?
2 of the 4. No.
Bounce House?
Well, 2 of the 4 is the correct answer because I haven't done a game in TDECU Stadium. I have not done a game. The old Robertson Stadium, the old erector set from the 2001 where they, at all those seats that were deemed unsafe.
We had some texters, or not texters, but posters on the flagship message board at Hornets 24/7. People still mad saying, "Yeah, I had to watch the game inside Hoffein's Pavilion on a big screen."
Yeah, it's when the law said we will never go there again. Afterwards, it mentioned that, and they tore that one down. And not only that, it was a horrible place to broadcast from. We had scratched, smeared plexiglass in front of us, and a corrugated like lip that went out from the deal, so you couldn't see the near sideline. And I felt bad for Bill Schoening, because that was his last year doing the play-by-play, and we're both in the booth, and it's raining, and it's smearing coming down, and he's looking, and he misidentified. He was so mad at himself, he misidentified Sloan Thomas as B.J. Johnson was at one point, because it was on the near sideline.
Was this Dane Dimmel or Kim Helton coaching Houston?
That would have been, I'm pretty sure, Helton.
Okay.
At that point, yeah. So anyway, it was not good. All right, we'll be back to a wrap up today. Does Alabama count? Only as a non-conference game.
It doesn't count towards your Big 12 home game count.
We'll be back to wrap up today's edition of Light the Tower on the Horn. Hey, with this inclement winter weather going on, it'll make you think not only about that, but about your power and your roof. And remember that our good friend John Hardy and his great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar are installing backup batteries and Generac generators. You can give them a call and find out which one works best for you, but that could help you in the event of a power outage. There's some folks that have already been some outages. We could have more tomorrow. So get in touch with John Hardy and the great staff at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar about a backup battery or Generac generator. Also, if the time has come and you know that you have to go ahead and replace that roof, remember that at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar, they do a great job. They guarantee their work, and it's a 25-year guaranteed warranty on that as well. Be sure to check them out on the web at DividedSkyAustin.com. When the wind blows high, and we know it will, trust Divided Sky Roofing and Solar.
All I am is a man. I want the world in my hands. I hate the beach, but I stand
He says, no, not Texas killer BYU. I still have nightmares.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it could be BYU coming to Austin. So,
Yep.
because for some of those schools, it'll be their only chance to get to Austin
Right.
or Norman. So,
Yeah.
split them up. Or
Central Florida is being reverted. It came to your question. Central Florida was the other one. BYU and Central Florida, the two places where a broadcast from were Texas. The aforementioned infamous 2013 loss to BYU, where Taysom Hill ran over, around, and through the Longhorns that night. And 2007, they played Central Florida. It was a 2-for-1 deal. And Mac said, it was the stupidest thing I agreed to, was to agree to for their game in Orlando to be as they opened their brand new stadium at the time, Bright House Network Stadium.
The bounce house, right?
It's the bounce house.
It is now FBC Mortgage Stadium.
Yeah. 45,000 seats. It's a lot like Baylor's stadium, except without the lid thing on the top, in seating capacity and stuff like that.
Yeah, when you drive by McLean from 35, it looks like a giant toilet seat.
I've heard people say that, at least what's sitting on the top. I'll tell you what, it's a great broadcast booth in that stadium at McLean. A great broadcast booth. Not so much at what was then Bright House Network Stadium. Small booth, and they had no TV monitors in there, which was kind of weird for a stadium whose naming rights were sold to a cable television network.
That blew me away the first time I covered Texas OU. There was no Wi-Fi in the press box.
Yeah,
like AT&T sponsors this game.
How does that happen? Or at the then named Carrier Dome in Syracuse, got a different name now. No air conditioning.
Oh, did
in the Carrier Dome
change names?
Yeah. Mike Coulter, our studio anchor, was he had to remind himself.
JMA Wireless
That's it.
Dome. Wow, how uninspiring is that?
Yeah, exactly. So Orlando was the other place that I'd gone to, and that was also when the thunderstorm blew through in the middle of the third quarter, and the rain was coming in sideways through the windows, and that was the one time when I didn't laminate my broadcast charts. And as great as those charts are, the one thing they are not is waterproof. Colors start running. I'm holding it in my laps, and never again am I going to do that. All right, tomorrow I am supposed to be in Morgantown, West Virginia with the Texas women's basketball team. As far as we know right now, the travel plan is still to go out this afternoon.
As far as we know, Sark's press conference is taking place at 11 tomorrow.
Okay.
If it changes and it's on Zoom or whatever, I don't know. Basically, nothing is set in stone for tomorrow.
As far as we know, Jeff Howe is supposed to be here tomorrow as well. So we'll see how that all goes. For our man behind the glass, our producer, Cam Parker, and for my co-host, Jeff Howe, I'm Craig. Thanks for joining us. We'll visit with you next time on Light the Tower.